Well, here we are again talking about censorship. This time, the people upstairs really, they really wanted to come out and shut down Russell Brand. All right. I mean, this is their MO. When somebody gets too big of a platform and they're saying too many true things about what they're doing up there in central planning to try to do damage to the populations, to try to enrich the corporations, to try to keep the corruption the skids greased on the corruption. And all the mainstream media people, they're all deep players in it, just like all the corrupt politicians. They don't like it when people are telling you how the sausage is made. They don't like people telling you what their plans are. And they don't like people telling you what the facts are about things that they're lying about and the propaganda that they're pushing. So when Russell Brand, he gets 5-6 million subscribers on YouTube. He's got one of the biggest Rumble channels. He's got one of the biggest Twitter feeds. When he's out there telling you that you got to ask questions and you got to be vigilant and you can't trust these people because they have a track record of lying and this is corrupt over here. He's putting a target on his back, just like I am. And, I don't have, millions of followers to lose, so I can say things. I have very little to lose. The feds can be on my ass and do all kinds of little things to thwart me every day. But essentially, they can't do what they're doing to him. And what are they doing to him? Well, so the first thing that happened is Russell Brand put out a preemptive denial of any criminal wrongdoing or any unconsensual activities that was to be released in a documentary made by Channel 4 Dispatch, which is a British publication and news show or whatever. They make documentaries and they have TV news. And the funny thing about it is Russell Brand's always been one of their contributors or whatever, and they called him their personal bad boy or whatever. And now all of a sudden they turned against him, and they want you to think that this is all organic and that the production that they made to expose him was authentic. Well, there's a couple things I need to say about that real quick before I get into my opinions about these things. First of all, I'm not going to play it here because I don't have the equipment and I'm not really set up in a studio to do that kind of videos. I'd like to get back to that, but right now I'm kind of feral, so I don't really have it like that. But anyway, now I would invite you, if you haven't already, to go give a watch to this Channel 4 Dispatch hit piece on Russell Brand and see what you think. My initial thoughts were, what is this? It does not sound like a breaking news story about somebody doing heinous things to unwitting victims. It sounds like a Hollywood production. It sounds like some kind of documentary made with the utmost drama. Now, this is something I've never seen before, is they literally have an actress, or maybe it's actresses, reading the detailed accounts of the victims of Russell Brand, as if, they're reading a statement. This is not how this is ever done. Usually, if you do get statements from victims about the details of the actual crime, I'm not used to them even being broadcast like that. But if they are, sometimes they are, and if they are, you don't get the gory details. You get You don't get, and now this is with the actresses reading the statements in a dramatic way. There's also weird dramatic music playing in the background, so it's an all-around production, and the visuals on the screen, and they have these cut-ins of Russell Brand saying things to kind of make it look like he is a bad person, and you have to believe these accusations because look at this clown and look at what he's doing, you know. So all that is really weird. You would never expect to see that in a story like this. So I just wanted to say that. I mean, whatever, each to their own on how they report a story. But the biggest, the biggest tip-off to me that this is kind of, this doesn't seem right, is that this production, and then also that this is where we hear about these accusations. You know, like if these accusations were serious, and the people involved went through this traumatic event, then why did they go to the media? Why not go to the cops? And why wait till now? If these events happened, you know, back in the day, why wait until this moment? Kind of feels a little bit like the Julian Assange situation. You know, all of a sudden you had this woman that claimed that he did this thing, and literally it's the same thing that one of the women are claiming on this Russell Brand thing. It's totally crazy. Totally crazy. I don't want to say what that thing is. I'm not trying to get too graphic about what's going on here, but so when we look at those two videos, the denial video and then the one that came out about, you know, the smear piece, we'll call it. I'm going to call it a smear piece because that's what it is. I don't believe these accusations. I have reasons not to believe these accusations besides just that poor presentation over at Channel 4, which, by the way, comparatively only has 1.8 or 9 million views compared to the 70 million views, I think, is what Russell Brand's video on Rumble got. So we're going to talk about that. Over at YouTube, they decided that these accusations with no criminal charges filed and nobody knows what's going to come next of these accusations, or these victims coming forward and maybe talking more, or who knows what we're going to see next. But YouTube decided, hey, this is a good time to demonetize somebody, simply because they were accused of a heinous crime. We're going to take their channel down, or we're going to take their ability to make money off the channel. Now, from what I understand, there's a little bit of a issue with that. Like, they were still making money. Like, there was like, okay, you're not going to be allowed to make money off of this, off any videos now. But his videos were still up, advertisements were still running, and money was still being pumped into YouTube for his videos being watched. So that's a little bit disingenuous. But then they decided to just suspend his account. I should have looked into this a little bit more. Just heard this on the fly. So his YouTube account is suspended because I think this is what I think it is, because I heard it was something to do with still making money on his videos. Possibly the paid promotions that he does, the paid promotional ads that he does on his videos, which are already embedded in most of the videos on YouTube, I'd imagine. So if you're watching a video of his on YouTube that's a week old, all of a sudden one of those ads run, he's going to get paid for that, because YouTube can't stop a third party from paying people to have ads. So basically, because of the already, you know, situation where he's already going to be making money off of prior videos, and it's not has anything to do with new videos going forward, they suspended his account. That's my opinion about what happened. I don't know for sure. Should look into that more, but I don't think it's that important in the grand scheme of things. But anyway, over on Rumble, the other channel where he's a super huge creator, a member of the UK Parliament wrote Russell Brand a letter talking about how, you know, Russell Brand's a bad guy and he did some bad stuff, and you should be like YouTube and demonetize him so he can't make any money on your platform. And then Rumble fired back with, what? That's pretty scary that the government is telling us who to censor, essentially. That's not the, I'm paraphrasing here, but Rumble also fired back with, hey man, look, we don't know what you're talking about. As far as we know, this is a person who's been accused of a crime. All right? Last time anybody checked, the policy of the Magna Carta was innocent until proven guilty. So we're going to go back, thousands of years and just be primates again, I guess. So it's really weird that the government thought it was their job to address a corporation and tell them how to behave. It's really weird, but I'm sure it happens a lot. Now Rumble, I give Rumble, 10 thumbs up for their, their stance and I don't think it's I don't think it takes a lot of bravery to have the stance that they had. They have the right to operate their business as they see fit. So now, if you think, whoa, we should just believe all women, what are you doing, Brand? You're going crazy here. Don't you know the Me Too movement and all that? Well, look, I'm not in the Me Too movement, all right? I can tell you that there's things that has happened to me, and I didn't get any, nobody saved me, nobody believed me, no one cared. So I understand that being a victim sucks, but this whole notion that we believe all women when they make an accusation, that is bullshit. And I'll tell you why. Because it's very selective when that isn't, when that logic is deployed. And it's very easy for people that don't think for themselves. They just watch the news and absorb whatever, or they don't even do that. And then when they hear something, they're like, oh yeah, that's got to be true. Oh yeah, that guy's a bad guy, so he probably did do all that shit. It's real easy for people to fall into that. But if you do, feel like that's the thing, is that you have to believe all women, then you must not have been paying attention to a lot of things over the years. Like, I can't even count the number of times when believe all women backfired and it turned out the woman was lying. It was some nefarious, why would somebody do that? Why would somebody lie and say that somebody did something to them that is a crime that's going to it's going to ruin that person's life. It's going to put them in prison for a time. And they might get beat the shit out of when they get to wherever, because that's not the thing you want to have a reputation for doing. And now, like I said, you have to go back in time and count up all the examples. I can't do it. You can try. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you some big ones. You got Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, when he was president, was accused, even when he was governor, he was accused of sexual harassment. He was accused of sexual assault, which is basically just touching somebody sexually when they don't want you to. Could just be with clothes on. You could just bump, brush up against something too many times, or, if a woman says that she's uncomfortable around you, you're supposed to believe that, right? Well, apparently nobody believed Jennifer Flowers and the countless other women that claimed Bill Clinton was sexually inappropriate around them. It didn't matter, I guess. I mean, even when you're talking about the thing that he got impeached over, which was this Monica Lewinsky thing, nobody cared. What was that about? Like, okay, this is sexual harassment in the workplace 101. The executive of the office doesn't go down into the mills of the interns and look for a piece of ass. You just don't do that. I don't do that. You can't do that. It's not allowed. It's predatory behavior. But nobody cared. Nobody cared. They were on Bill's side. They loved how he lied about things and changed the definition of the word or there was a word there. He's like, it depends on what your definition of that is. And it's, come on. All right. And then you got Bill. Speaking of Bills, you have Bill Cosby. This guy was date raping roofing up women for decades. How long? Longer than I've been alive, I think. And the accusations were coming decades ago, as early as the 70s. He was doing the sexual harassment too, where, you know, well, if you don't do this, then maybe you don't get a job in Hollywood or wherever. Nobody cared, nothing ever happened, and, you know, it got to the point where the amount of women was, like, you know, daunting, like, just over, you know, dozens, like, we're talking 50 or more, I can't even remember the number, crazy numbers, big numbers. So now he finally gets in trouble for it, and he's like this old, disheveled, crippled old looking, you know, he's 1 foot in the grave. They throw him in jail, and then they let him out. No one cares. No one cared about any of it. No one even cared when he went to jail. There was even people who are like, why would you even throw him in jail now? He's too old. He's a big deal. He's not going to do it again, and all this other shit. And it's like, dude, that's a double standard. I don't care how you do it. That's a double standard. And then finally, we have another example in Joe Biden. Come on. This guy, this guy has gotten away with so much shit that he single-handedly killed the Me Too movement. When Tara Reid told her story, you know, like these women talking about Russell Brand, they told their story. Oh, she told her story, and nobody believed it. Mainstream media attacked her and turned her into a pariah, and essentially, you know, now, you know, it's basically like people are like, oh, you know, even if that did happen, who cares? We got to do anything we can to keep Trump out of office, which is weird. Trump also another victim of somebody accusing him of some sexual improprieties, and then later we find out, well, apparently there was nothing to that. It's crazy, man. So the Me Too movement to me was a bunch of bullshit designed to just dragnet and snarl people that they didn't like and get rid of them. And the people that they do like, they protect them at all costs, lie, obfuscate, whatever. So I'm going to put a bow on this somehow. Like I said, I don't personally believe these accusations. I'm going to take Russell Brand at his word, because I did watch the denial video, and to be honest, you can just look at the look in his eyes. You can see that that's the kind of fear you have when you're being accused of something that you don't do, and it's a serious, heinous thing that could also land you some serious time in jail or whatever, and definitely completely wrecking ball your whole career, your whole reputation, your life in general. You know, that's the look he had in his eyes, not the look of somebody that's like, yes, these accusations are bullshit, and, you know, I'm just going to brush them off, and ha 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 ha. You know, he wasn't, I mean, I guess you could say that's kind of like the Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate still had that deer in the headlights look when he first was getting messed around with, but we're starting to find out more about that too, and it doesn't look like all the accusations against him are all that what they're cracked up to be. And what was he doing when those accusations started flying? He was exposing the WEF. He was talking about the jab. He was talking about Pfizer. He was talking about the censorship. He was talking about the CBDCs. And when you talk about these things, guess what? They're going to come after you. I don't care if you're small like me. I get like 30 views on my video. I just do this because I want to get it out of my system. And if I'm getting it out of my system and it's a detriment to me now, because now these, you know, these watchers that they've always been watching me. You know, I'm going to make a video about how paranoid schizophrenia is more justified these days than not, because they're at every corner, at every churn, at every digital intersection watching you. They're monitoring what you're saying. They know what you're saying. They can hear you. Your phone is a listening device. Your phone is a watching device. Everything you post on social media goes into the database. You are, to them, completely, you know, under their thumb as long as they have all this information on you. So that's privacy in the year 2023. You got none. You know, they're trying to sell you security when there's no privacy, so none of it makes sense. All right, I'm out of here. Stay feral. Go feral if you're not already feral, and see you next time.